Have you ever been there? Your organization maybe embraced Scrum, saw some amazing success with those smaller teams, really nimble.
Yeah, that initial burst of energy.
Exactly. And then, boom, you hit a wall. The product grows. You suddenly need multiple teams working together on it.
And that beautiful agility starts feeling, well, not so agile anymore.
Right. A bit clunky, maybe even bureaucratic creeps in.
Yeah.
That promise of speed gets lost somewhere in all the coordination meetings, the dependencies.
It's a super common challenge. How do you scale that agility without, building this huge, complex monster?
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at large-scale Scrum. Or
Less.
Now, the name might make you think more Scrum, like just adding stuff on top.
Which is often the first instinct, right? Just add more meetings, more roles.
But less is actually quite different. It's a specific, pretty lightweight framework developed by Craig Larman and Vodde. And it's really built specifically to scale Scrum for multiple teams working on one single product.
That single product focus is key.
Totally. And what I find fascinating, the real hook, is its core idea: organizational descaling.
Descaling, yeah, sounds counterintuitive when you're talking about large scale.
Exactly. Instead of adding more process, more roles, it's about reducing complexity, stripping away bureaucracy.
Trying to get back to that essence of agility.
Our mission today is basically to unpack how LeSS aims to help organizations get more value, but with less overhead, less complexity.
Fostering that customer focus, that whole product view, even when you've got loads of people involved.
So this deep dive should give you a really good shortcut to understanding this powerful and sometimes, counterintuitive way to scale.
Let's get into it.
All right, let's unpack LeSS itself. It gets called Scrum Scaled.
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean in practice? Are we talking about a totally new playbook here, or is it more like amplifying the Scrum we already know?
It's definitely the latter, and that's a really critical distinction. LeSS is emphatically not some new methodology trying to replace Scrum.
Okay.
It's an extension of Scrum. It builds directly on it.
So it keeps the core values: openness, courage.
Absolutely. All five. Openness, courage, respect, focus, commitment. They're foundational. And crucially, LeSS deliberately, actively avoids adding lots of new roles, new artifacts, new meetings that aren't already in Scrum.
Which is often what happens, isn't it? People try to scale and just invent new layers.
Exactly. And those layers often create the very complexity and bottlenecks you were trying to solve. LeSS forces you to ask, how much can we remove? How simple can we keep this?
Okay, so sticking with Scrum's core, what are the standout characteristics then?
Well, the first, and maybe the most vital, is that single product focus.
Right, you mentioned that.
All teams, doesn't matter if it's 2 or 20, work on one product from one shared product backlog. That alone forces so much alignment and reduces complexity compared to, say, managing multiple backlogs for different components.
No more competing mini products.
Precisely. Then there's minimalism. LeSS fights complexity at every turn. Keep processes simple. Don't add rules unless absolutely necessary. It's a core design choice.
Less is more, literally.
Literally. Which ties into empirical process control. Decisions based on transparency, inspection, adaptation, just like Scrum, but even more critical at scale because you can't plan everything perfectly upfront with multiple teams.
You need that feedback loop.
Constantly. And naturally, it's intensely customer-centric. The whole structure is geared towards delivering value to the customer, breaking down internal silos that often get in the way.
And the last one, you mentioned organizational change.
Yes, organizational change. LeSS isn't just a process overlay. It demands a shift towards genuine, cross-functional, self-managing teams, and often a big shift in how management operates.
Okay, that makes sense. Focusing on minimalism, single product, it directly tackles that feeling of things getting bogged down.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned LeSS isn't just rules, it has these 10 guiding principles. This sounds like the real philosophy behind it.
Absolutely. They're the why behind the what.
Are there a couple that really stand out, maybe ones that would surprise someone who thinks they know scaling frameworks?
Yeah, definitely. These principles are what keep LeSS lightweight and stop it becoming just another heavy process. They maintain the LeSS.
Gotcha.
So one that sounds almost too simple but is incredibly powerful is just. Large-scale Scrum is Scrum.
Okay. Seems obvious.
It does, but think about it. It acts as a constant reminder, a guardrail. Don't invent complex new scaling roles or scaling ceremonies if you can solve the problem using Scrum's existing elements.
So it pushes you to leverage Scrum itself more deeply rather than bolting things on.
Exactly. Which leads straight to the next principle, more with less. This is core LeSS. Other frameworks might say, okay, scaling, you need a release train engineer, a solution architect, maybe a portfolio manager.
Adding roles to manage the complexity.
Right. Les says, no, how can we achieve more customer value with fewer roles, fewer artifacts, fewer processes? It forces simplification. It asks existing roles, like the Scrum Master or Product Owner, to scale their impact, not just multiply titles.
That's a radical difference.
It really is. Then there's the whole product focus. This actively fights against component teams. You know, the database team, the UI team, the back-end services team.
Which always leads to handoffs and delays.
Always. Les insists teams are organized around customer features, working across components, collaborating on that single product. It breaks down those silos. Everyone optimizes for the whole customer experience.
That requires a big shift in team structure.
Huge. And underpinning all this, you have systems thinking and lean thinking and queuing theory.
Okay, tell me more about those.
Systems thinking means looking at the entire organization, the whole value stream, not just optimizing one team or one department. A local fix might actually make the whole system worse.
Right, optimizing a part doesn't mean the whole gets better.
Often the opposite. And lean thinking is about ruthlessly eliminating waste, unnecessary handoffs, delays, work sitting in queues, building features nobody wants. Queuing theory helps manage work in progress actively to improve flow.
So it's about efficiency across the entire system.
Exactly, making the whole system faster and more responsive, often by removing layers, not adding them.
That's fascinating. Removing roles, focusing on the system. So given this focus on less, you might think less is rigid. But you mentioned it adapts. How does it handle different organizational sizes?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's not one size fits all. LeSS provides two distinct frameworks built on the same principles but tailored for different scales.
Okay, what are they?
First, you have the basic LeSS framework. This is designed for roughly 2 to 8 teams. So maybe up to 50, 60 people, give or take.
So for smaller, large-scale scenarios.
Exactly. And the structure is deliberately streamlined. You have one product owner.
One PO for up to 8 teams.
One PO for all the teams, overseeing one single product backlog. This is non-negotiable in basic LeSS. It maintains that crucial single point of prioritization and vision.
Wow, okay. That PO must be busy.
They are, but LeSS has mechanisms to help, like involving teams highly in refinement. Then you have your multiple cross-functional self-managing Scrum teams, maybe 5, 9 people each. And critically, they all share a single definition of done.
A single DoD across all teams. That sounds challenging.
It is challenging. It forces real collaboration, real integration, and often means serious investment in things like test automation and continuous integration so that any team's work contributes to a genuinely potentially shippable increment.
Got it. What about the events?
Coordinated sprint planning, often a shared part 1, a single shared sprint review for everyone. Then each team has its own retrospective, plus an overall retrospective involving reps from teams, the PO, Scrum Masters, to tackle those cross-team and system-level issues. And teams are structured as feature teams.
End-to-end value deliver focus.
Always.
Okay, that's less for 2 and 8 teams. What if you're bigger than that? Hundreds of people.
Right, that's where the less huge framework comes in. Yeah, this is designed for 8 or more teams, could be hundreds, even thousands of people.
How does that work without adding loads of layers?
It scales by introducing something called requirement areas. Think of these as major customer-centric chunks of the product, like maybe user profile management or checkout and payments.
You divide the product functionally.
Broadly, yes, but focused on customer value areas. Defining these areas well is key, and they aren't necessarily static. Each requirement area then gets its own area product owner.
Ah, okay, so you do introduce a new role there.
Yes, but it's very specific. The area PO manages the area product backlog for that requirement area. But, and this is crucial, there is still one overall product owner who has the final say on prioritization across the entire product and coordinates the area POs.
Maintaining that single product vision.
Exactly. Teams are then organized within these requirement areas, so each requirement area kind of operates like a smaller, LeSS instance.
Like nested-less structures.
Sort of, yeah. You have area-level sprint planning, area-level reviews, but still synchronized sprints across the whole organization, and that overall PO integrating everything.
Okay, so it seems LeSS really does try to leverage existing Scrum roles and events as much as possible. How does it manage scaling those effectively without just, accidentally creating new management layers or bottlenecks?
That's the core challenge, right? And LeSS tackles it by being very deliberate about not inventing roles that tend to become coordination bottlenecks or command and control points.
Resisting the urge to add managers for managers.
Pretty much. So for less roles, the product owner is still the key strategic role for the whole product. In less huge, they guide and mentor the area POs.
But don't directly manage them.
It's more about alignment and overall product direction. The area product owner, only in less huge, focuses deeply on their specific area backlog, working closely with the teams in that area.
Yeah.
Scrum Masters, in less, often support maybe 1 or 2 teams. Their role becomes even more critical in facilitating cross-team communication and tackling those bigger organizational impediments.
More system-level coaching.
Definitely. Team members remain cross-functional, self-managing, focused on features. And then there's managers.
Ah, yes, the option rule you mentioned. What happens to them?
Their role fundamentally shifts. Instead of directing work or managing individuals' tasks, their job becomes creating the environment for teams to succeed.
How so?
By removing organizational impediments that teams can't solve themselves, fostering learning, coaching people, improving the overall system, they support, they enable, they don't interfere with team self-management. Less explicitly avoids adding traditional roles like project manager or program manager.
That must be a huge cultural shift for traditional managers. What's the biggest hurdle there?
It is huge. The biggest hurdle is often letting go of control and trusting the teams. Managers used to assigning tasks or making decisions need to transition to coaching and system improvement.
How do organizations handle that pushback?
Lots of coaching, education, leadership, modeling the new behavior, and showing the benefits like faster delivery and more empowered teams. It takes time and commitment.
Okay, makes sense. What about the events? Sprints are synced, you said.
Yes, all teams run on the same sprint cadence, typically 1 4-wints. Sprint planning is usually 2 parts. Part 1 is multi-team, with the POs selecting and clarifying items, identifying dependencies. Part 2 is each team planning their own work for the sprint.
How do they handle daily coordination?
Each team has its own daily scrum. For cross-team stuff, they might use techniques like observers visiting other daily scrums, or sometimes an optional short scrum of scrums just for dependency management.
Not a mandatory status meeting.
Definitely not. The sprint review is a big shared event. All teams, stakeholders, POs together, looking at the integrated increment, massive transparency.
I can imagine. And retrospectives.
2 layers again. Each team does its own team retrospective. Plus, there's an overall retrospective with reps from teams, POs, Scrum Masters, maybe managers, focused on systemic, cross-team, and organizational improvements.
Tackling the bigger picture impediments.
Precisely. And product backlog refinement, PBR, is ongoing, often done collaboratively in multi-team or area-level sessions to get items ready.
Okay. And the artifacts, still the same 3 from Scrum.
Exactly the same, just scaled. The product backlog, one single list, or logically split into area backlogs and less huge, but still conceptually one product. Each team has its own sprint backlog.
And the increment.
The product increment. This is the sum of all teams' work at the end of the sprint. And it must be integrated, tested, and adhere to that single shared definition of done. It has to be potentially shippable.
That potentially shippable across many teams sounds like a massive technical challenge.
It is. It forces investment in solid technical practices, continuous integration, comprehensive automated testing, good architecture. You can't fake integration with less. That shared definition of done is the linchpin ensuring quality and making sure done means the same thing for everyone.
Right, so it drives technical excellence too. This definitely sounds like more than just changing process diagrams. It's a major organizational shift.
Absolutely.
So practically speaking, how does an organization actually start adopting less up? What are the steps and what are the big rocks, the main challenges they usually hit?
Yeah, it's a journey for sure. And thinking bigger picture, successful less adoption hinges on real commitment to changing the organizational design, the culture. It's about truly empowering teams and having leadership focused on creating the right system for agility.
Okay, so what are the typical steps?
First things first, understand Scrum first. You need solid Scrum fundamentals across the board. You can't scale something you don't do well at the team level.
Makes sense. Build the foundation.
Then educate and train. Get people familiar with less principles and practices. Use resources like less.works, maybe certified training. Next, and this is crucial, clearly define the product. What is the whole product you're building? Avoid narrow component definitions.
Get that whole product focus from the start.
Yes. Then form feature teams. This is often a big reorg. Create cross-functional teams that can deliver features end-to-end. Move away from component or functional silos.
That's a big one.
Huge. After that, establish one product backlog and one PO, or the overall area PO structure, and huge. Synchronize sprints so everyone's on the same rhythm. Then, critically, Start small, don't try a big bang rollout. Pilot less with maybe 2 or 3 teams working together first.
Learn and adapt.
Exactly, which is the last step. Inspect and adapt. Use the retrospectives, especially the overall retrospective, to continuously improve how less is working in your context.
And what about those organizational design shifts you mentioned?
That often involves flattening hierarchies, removing functional departments like a separate QA department, and embedding those skills in teams. Supporting communities of practice for knowledge sharing across teams. Really empowering teams with decision-making authority, and aligning leadership to focus on enabling the environment, not controlling the tasks.
So what are the common roadblocks people hit?
Well, resistance to change is always there, but unless it often surfaces as resistance to forming feature teams or pushback against having only one product owner or managers struggling with their new role.
How do you tackle that?
Education, patience, strong executive sponsorship, and using those small pilots to show the benefits. Demonstrating value is key. Another challenge is coordination across teams.
Keeping everyone aligned.
Yeah. Shared events help, but often need dedicated time for things like multi-team refinement, maybe joint design sessions, using visual management tools. Product owner overload is real, especially with one PO for multiple teams.
I was wondering about that.
Solutions involve the PO delegating refinement activities to the teams, focusing on the what and why, not the how, and using area POs unless huge. An inconsistent definition of done is another killer.
If done means different things, you don't have an integrated increment.
Exactly. So you need to collaboratively create a strong shared DoD and then enforce it, often through automation. And finally, legacy processes, old habits, old metrics, old project management artifacts trying to creep back in.
Got to actively replace those.
Gradually but persistently, showing the value of the less away.
Okay, so if an organization manages to navigate all that, implements these practices, what's the payoff? What are the real tangible benefits? And what are those key supporting practices that really make LeSS click?
Right. What's the ROI? A key insight is that LeSS doesn't just prescribe structure. It actively encourages specific enabling practices that boost collaboration and efficiency, and those lead directly to the benefits.
Like what kind of practices?
We've touched on some. Feature teams are fundamental for flow and customer focus. Strong cross-team coordination mechanisms like multi-team PBR, maybe joint design workshops, definitely using shared code bases and continuous integration.
Technical practices are baked in.
Absolutely. Continuous integration is almost mandatory for that single increment. Test automation is essential for the shared DoD. Communities of practice help share knowledge organically across teams without needing formal structures. And component mentorship can be useful, where someone with deep expertise in a specific area mentors multiple teams, helping build T-shaped skills without creating a component team bottleneck.
So embedding expertise rather than siloing it.
Exactly. And when these practices take hold, you see the benefits of LeSS emerge. First, genuine simplicity. Compared to some other scaling frameworks, LeSS has fewer roles, rules, and artifacts. It feels lighter.
More with less.
Truly. There's a relentless customer value focus because of the feature teams and single backlog. Transparency is huge. The shared events, the single increment, make progress and problems visible to everyone.
Later to hide.
Pretty much. You get immense flexibility because of the empirical process control you can adapt quickly. There's real team empowerment. Teams have the autonomy and ownership to figure out how to deliver. And because of the lean thinking, you see significantly reduced waste, fewer handoffs, less waiting, less unnecessary process.
It sounds like a really coherent, principled approach.
It is. It hangs together very logically.
So, recapping then, LeSS really seems to deliver on that LeSS promise. It's scaling Scrum by kind of scaling down the organizational complexity.
Yeah, descaling the bureaucracy.
Yeah. Empowering teams, keeping that laser focus on the whole product. It feels like a powerful alternative for organizations that want to grow but don't want to lose that agile soul.
It's definitely a strong contender, offering that more with less philosophy in a practical way.
So if you listening are wrestling with scaling challenges, maybe feeling that agility slip away as you add teams, LeSS offers a really compelling path. Hopefully this deep dive has given you some solid insights into its structure, its principles, why it works, and maybe why it's quite different from other approaches.
A good starting point for exploring it further.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up, here's something to think about. Building on that core LeSS idea. Consider that phrase, organizational descaling. Even if you're not planning a full LeSS implementation,
Mm-hmm.
what layers of complexity, what unnecessary processes or roles might exist in your own context right now? Where could you potentially descale to unlock a bit more agility, a bit more value? Where could more with less apply in your world?
That's a great question to ponder.
Definitely something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and share it, with others who might benefit too. To learn more about product management and digital marketing, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.